Broadcast has been set. You may begin.
Good evening and welcome to the September 3rd work session of the Prince George's County Board of Education. Before I begin, I'd like to ask everyone to please turn off your wireless communication devices to avoid interfering with the Board of Education meeting. Again, good evening to our citizens and the parents and students and to my board colleagues. Remember that this board meeting is being recorded and the viewing information will be made available to the public on our board webpage, and we would encourage you to go there to view our proceedings. At this point, I would ask my board colleagues, Ms. Williams, to lead us in our board prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Dr. Thornton. Please bow your heads. Oh God, we pray to administer that which is just in all educational policies, being ever mindful of your guidance, steer us to action with love, wisdom, and understanding. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. At this point, Ms. Ellis, from our board staff, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Mrs. Ahmed.
Here.
Ms. Boozer-Strother.
Here.
Mr. Burrows.
Here.
Ms. Jackson.
Present.
Mr. Montero.
Here.
Mr. Murray. Mrs. Queen.
Present.
Mrs. Shepherd.
Here.
Mr. Swan.
Present.
Mr. Thomas.
Here.
Mr. Valentine.
Here.
Mr. Wallace.
Present.
Mrs. Williams.
Present.
Dr. Thornton.
Present. Thank you, Ms. Ellis. And I'll take this opportunity to thank Ms. King and Ms. Ellis and the board staff for preparing this board meeting materials for us. Thank you so much for that. At this point, colleagues, we want to adopt the agenda for our September 3rd meeting, and a motion is in order to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Mr. Swan, Ms. King, and seconded by Mr. Montero to adopt the agenda. Any modifications to the agenda, colleagues? Hearing none, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposing, no. Ms. King, let the record reflect that the approval is unanimous. Colleagues, we will now turn our attention to the approval of our board minutes from our August 20th board meeting and August 21st board retreat. We had a retreat on the 21st and a board meeting on the 20th. A motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Mr. Valentine and Mr. Swan that we approve the minutes from our August 20th board meeting and our August 21st board retreat, including the executive session, a part of the retreat. Any questions? Hearing no questions, those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposing, no. Let the record reflect, Ms. King, that it's unanimous and the board approves the minutes of August 20th and of the board meeting and August 21st of the board retreat. At this point, colleagues, I only have a brief report from the chair. Before I do that, let me thank, in the presence of the public, our county executive and the chair of our county council who joined the Board of Education in its retreat. And even though their presence was not extended, we did have an opportunity to receive greetings from them and acknowledge the work of this Board of Education on behalf of the children and the community of Prince George's County. So I want to thank them on behalf of the board for taking the time from their busy schedule to join us at our retreat. It's much appreciated. At this point, I would like to offer a brief report from the chair. I'll step on Dr. Goson's territory just a little bit, but I just have to, on behalf of the board, thank our students and our parents and our teachers and other staff members for the excellent work they've done to start our school year in this virtual environment. Little hiccups here and there, but I'm just so pleased with what I'm seeing in terms of the response of this community to the new distance learning environment. And to the board members, I certainly have observed you out there in your own way, many of you feeding and responding. And so that's just very appreciated in your own way that you are responding on behalf of the community. It warms my heart to see you feeding the community, engaging with the parents, responding to the parents, and it's paying off because things are holding together, right? Things are holding together. This community is still together around our babies, as I call them, right? We're not letting anything kind of separate us from our children. So I want to thank each of you as colleagues for doing that. We do have a CIP session on September 10th. We'll hold a virtual hearing on our capital improvements program from 22 to 27. That is very important because that is our best wish, I hope, for the capital projects we want for our school system. So we want to invite our members of the public to sign up to speak before us, provide testimony to the Board of Education. If you'll please go to the website to sign up and we'll be there to receive your input. Please do that because the Board of Education benefits from your input. Our next board meeting will be, our next virtual board meeting will be on September 17th. It is a very important meeting. We would ask you to please, after tonight's board meeting, to go to our website where you'll have an opportunity to sign up. And the first 15 individuals will have either your written testimony or your video testimony posted on board docs for the public to see. We're still working hard to maintain a connection with our community, even in this virtual environment. Again, please continue to check the board's website for information about what the board is doing and about upcoming meetings of the Board of Education. Dr. Golson, at this point, I'm going to please ask you to present your report.
Thank you and good evening. Happy first week of school. I want to start by also welcoming our students, staff, families, and community members to the 2020-2021 school year. As the Prince George's County Public School community, we worked all summer in anticipation of this first week of school. Our new normal of teaching and learning has been a new learning experience for all of us. I had the opportunity on Monday to visit Cooper Lane Elementary School, Drew Freeman Middle School, and the new Parent Center at Gwynn Park High School, as well as visiting virtual classrooms at the International High School at Langley Park, our new Spanish immersion program at Kettering Middle School, and Berwyn Heights Elementary School's first grade classroom. I'll be the first to admit that I do miss the usual sounds and sights of the first day of school, children laughing, teachers excited to greet their students in their class, and parents of kindergarten students tearfully saying goodbye to some of our youngest learners. It was a first day unlike any in my career for sure, but I was pleased to see that some things had not changed. And that was our teachers were still happy to be back with their students, even from a distance. Our students had that hard to contain first day excitement, and our parents have been patient, flexible, and understanding with the inevitable hiccups and challenges that arise in the first days and weeks to come. So thank you so much. We are consistently working to make sure that the learning experience is smoother for those involved every day. So our Office of Information Technology and T3, which stands for Technology Training Team, are doing everything we can and then more to support our schools, staff, students, and parents plug into distance learning. So for those who are sending emails to let us know what their concerns are, when you send them, please make sure you send your name, the problem that you're experiencing, and a phone number where we can contact you, because we have been able to do some of those troubleshooting issues over the phone. But we also have 9 parent centers where staff can actually take their technology to any of those 9 parent centers. You can sign up for appointments so that you don't have to wait. They're open on Mondays and Wednesdays from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And there are information technology technicians at each of the sites to assist you. I want to send a special thank you to our frontline food service workers. We went from serving 4,777 meals on Monday to more than 57,000 meals on Wednesday. I think a lot has to do with, we announced earlier this week that all meals are free through December 31st, 2020, and can be picked up by parents, guardians, or students. Adults picking up meals without children must show a student ID or their recent report card. And then students do not have to show any form of identification. We're extremely grateful to support our community through the distribution of free meals, but we still need households to complete the free and reduced meals applications so that they can continue to receive free or reduced meals after December 31st. Applications will be distributed at each of the meal distribution sites, or parents can complete the application electronically by clicking on the forms icon on the main webpage. If you want to become a new member of the Prince George's County Public School family of students, we are doing in-person registration at all of our sites on Wednesdays. So please review our main webpage to determine which items you need to complete and bring with you to the registration process. And then lastly, on Tuesday, September 1st, 2020, the Maryland State Board of Education passed 6 provisions that all local school systems must follow. We have already met 2 of the 6 provisions, but we will have to make modifications to our schedules by December 31st to meet all 6. The first provision was that schools must open for all students at least 180 days, and our calendar already reflects that. All schools must include at least a total of 6 hours per day, and all of our schools have that. Schools must have an average of 3.5 hours across grades K to 12 of synchronous instruction, better known as live, spread out over the course of the day. So we may have to revise some of the schedules for our students in K to 3, but all of our other grade levels should meet that, already meet that requirement. And in order to meet that provision, this one as well as the pre-K provision, we have a team of 22 folks who are going to pull every school schedule, review them to make sure that we are in compliance with the state before the deadline, which is December. Our provision 4, our half-day pre-K must include a minimum of 1.5 hours. So once again, we will review all schedules. We think we're only about 20 minutes shy of that requirement, so we'll make the necessary changes. And the provision states that it must be done before the end of the calendar year, which is before December 31st. Provision 5 is that local school systems will receive assistance from Maryland State Department of Education as we work to meet this requirement by the end of the calendar year. And then lastly, number 6, all school systems that have indicated that they are not returning students in person until second semester should reevaluate their opening plans by the end of first quarter. So for us, that will be November 5th. And we must submit what we have decided to Maryland State Department of Education by the 3rd week of November, which is November 20th. With all of those even with all those updates, it's still hard to believe that it is just day 4, but who's counting, of the 2020-2021 school year. In closing, I want to thank the Board of Education members for your support as well all week in supporting our students as well. I know this will be an amazing school year for the Prince George's County Public School community. This concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Gusson, for your report. And thank you and to your staff, all of the staff members, for the excellent work that you've done in this environment, particularly in response to the state board's request, and the manner in which you're going to recommend to the board as to how we should proceed. Colleagues, if we could, I'm going to introduce item 4.1, which is a rescheduling of the second reader for our capital improvement program. Remember that the first reader was during August 20th, and so that would have had us coming back for a second reader on September 10th. But I'm going to ask for a motion to delay the second reader until September 17th, which will give an opportunity for the public hearing that we have to take place. So if you would give me a motion to delay the second reader to September 17th. It's been moved by Mr. Swan. Who did I hear? Mr. Swan? Mr. Swan is seconded by Ms. Queen that we, who's seconded that?
I had a question for
Valentine.
motion, but
I'm gonna I'll put it on the floor and then I'll move to questions. Mr. Alexander, Mr. K. Alexander seconded and is open for discussion. Ms. Queen.
I had a question for Dr. Golson for the other report, but Mr. Swan went ahead and moved this.
I'll go to Ms. Ahmed.
Thank you, Dr. Thornton. I just wanted to flag and reiterate my request for making sure that we get the full document. I know that we talked about it coming to us after the public hearing, but the items that I'm requesting are the planning items, which I don't think require um, the public, the documents that have been submitted for approval of that project to the state. So I just wanted to reiterate that request as soon as possible to get that information. Whether that's after the, immediately after the hearing or not is okay. I just want to have some time to be able to review those documents. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Golson is indicating that
No
that will be
problem.
done.
Understood.
Hearing no other questions about the motion to move the second read to September 17th, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And those opposing, please say no. Ms. King, I don't see any opposition, so let the record reflect that the vote to adjust the second reading to September 17th is unanimous. Thank you, colleagues. Colleagues, we do not have any budget consent agenda items. We'll move now to new business. We have, Dr. Golson, I'm going to ask you to please introduce items 8.1 to 8.7 as first readers.
Items 8.1 through 8.7 requires board approval as first readers.
Colleagues, is there a motion to accept these as first readers? Is there a motion?
So moved.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Ms. Williams, seconded by Mr. Valentine. And the motion is on the floor. Mr. Valentine.
Yeah, I had a question. Yes, I just wanted to know whether Dr. Golson could have someone from the charter school office join the meeting, our next meeting, as we discuss this and these charter school renewals.
Yes, I will.
And colleagues, in the interim, because the board is lifting up the work of its 3 committees, this matter will be referred to our Academic Achievement Committee. So Ms. Booza Struther and Ms. Ahmed, no, I'm sorry, that's policy. Ms. Shepherd and Mr. Montero. If you all would expect to at least receive this and have at least some discussion of it before the 17th.
Dr. Thornton, I have a question again. Dr. Thornton, I'm sorry.
Yes.
So just point of clarification around what the Academic Affairs Committee is going to do and bring to us as it relates to these renewals on the next meeting.
No, we don't expect them to, at least I don't expect, I don't think the board expects them to do any kind of deep dive analysis of our charter schools. This is not the purpose. The purpose of this is a 1-year extension, but we never want to make decisions without at least our committee having a chance to at least look at it. We're not asking them to do any evaluations or et cetera. They can't do that in a couple of weeks. But we just want to get them in the loop because that's where it should be. If
I
yes.
could offer a point of clarification or a point of information, I guess, on the board action summary for the charter schools. Second reader was listed as October 21st. But I think there was a contemplation of giving the Academic Achievement Committee additional time as opposed to the 17th.
Okay, well, is there another date that should be there, Ms. King? Dr. Golson and Mr. Rhodes, is there another date that should be there?
So as you all know, there's been kind of several kind of iterations of this. We can, after the Academic Affairs Committee has reviewed it, we can amend the date for second reader to be at the next board meeting, which is September 17th.
And by the way, I'm not preempting, I'll call on Mr. Burrows, I'm not preempting any review, because I couldn't, any review that the committee might want to give. Any board member that has concerns about anything, please submit that to the Academic Achievement Committee. Feel free to join the committee meeting itself for any discussions. Mr. Burrows.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would like to pull items 8.1, 8.2, and 8.4 for discussion.
8.1, 8.
2 and 8.4 for discussion.
Okay. Colleagues, the vote is on all of the items except those 3. And this is as a first reader. So you're voting on 8.3, 8.5, 8.6, and 8.7. Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposing, no.
No,
Who said no, Ms. Ahmed? Who said no?
See,
me,
Ms. Ahmed, okay.
and Ms.
Miss-
Queen,
and Ms. Queen.
you never told me for my question.
Ms. Queen, did you want to say something before I
Yeah,
call the
so
vote?
I had a question. My hand was up. Why are we voting on charter schools and extending their time? And some of them is already in 23. I'm not understanding the purpose for extending their time right now. So I have questions of why are we voting on these charter schools now to extend their time? I don't see the need for it to do it now. Some of their time is not up till 2021. And when I looked at it, some of them were not up till 2023. So why are we doing this now?
Dr.
I really want to know what the real rush is. So let me just say it the way I see it.
Dr. Golson, would you clarify why we're
So
doing
we
this?
have to present to the board, one, for those that are up at the end of 2021. It typically takes a while, almost a whole year in order to do that process. And we have learned in the past that we must present to you that information in advance so that you can make a decision whether it will remain open or close. And then we have to prepare, if you decide to close it, to then move those students to one of our other 200 schools. And so in order to do that, we learned from our last charter school that we closed that we are required to do it earlier. Hence is why we did that. But now we're in a COVID situation. And so we're presenting and asking for an extension because these first few months, obviously we're in a virtual learning experience. It may be difficult to do those observations.
Dr. Golson, this is just a 1-year extension. That's all.
Correct.
There's nothing
Just
to do
one.
with just 1 year. Okay. Colleagues, then the vote is on those, all of them with the exception of 8.1, 8.2, and 8.4. This is a 1-year extension. It has nothing to do with the evaluation, et cetera. It's a 1-year extension because of the COVID-19. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposing, no.
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 Ms. King, let the record reflect that Ms. Queen and Ms. Ahmed voted no. Okay. Mr. Burrows, 8.1, you want to treat them separately or jointly?
I can treat 8.1 and 8.2 together and then do 8.4 after that.
Okay, please proceed, Mr.
Colleagues, I have grave concerns about Imagine Lincoln and Imagine Morningside. I know we have a lot of new colleagues, but at the time that they were renewed in 2017, and I've been able to get some data that I will share with you, and I'm going to request more data tonight. The essential question was, for both Lincoln and Morningside, is this charter school an academic success? And for both of these schools, the answer was not met. And when I did a cursory review of the data of Imagine Lincoln that I have in front of me, it's not good. I'll just leave it at that. It's not good at all. We're talking about single digits, proficiency, and in one grade, 0% of the students proficient. And I don't believe that we should give tens of millions of dollars to charter schools that are not performing academically for our students. And so I'm going to, abstain today and request that Dr. Golson, if you could get us more data on how those two schools have performed academically since then. If there is improvement, that's one thing, but if there's not, colleagues, I don't think we should vote to approve it. We are talking about the school system, given, I believe, over 11 million in one case, and, several millions of dollars. And I don't believe that these two schools are functioning well and should continue. But I would like more data around the math and reading proficiency rates, also teacher turnover, principal turnover, and any other key metric, so that the board, when it comes back up for a second reader, everyone's on the same playing field, having read the same information. We can make the best decision possible.
Thank you, Mr. Burrows. I think that is very valuable. Mr. Montero and Ms. Shepherd, you certainly heard our vice chair, and I think I fully support that, and I'm sure Dr. Golson does. Colleagues, if we could vote on 8.1 and 8.2, and I'll call on Mr. Burrows for 8.4 after we vote. This is to approve them for first reader with that concern expressed. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Those opposing, no.
No.
Any abstention? Ms. Ahmed and Mr. Thomas, you're voting no, Mr. Thomas?
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Queen. So we have 3
I want to
no's.
abstain.
And
until I
Mr.
get that
Burrows is abstaining. Ms. Queen, 3 no's, Mr. Ahmed, Mr. Thomas, Ms. Queen. voting no, everyone else voting yes, Mr. Burrows abstaining. Mr. Burrows, would you speak to item 8.4?
Yes, colleagues, this is a geographical preference area that is over some very, wealthy parts of our community. Berwyn Heights, University Park, College Park, and some other places. And so before we vote on this for final reader, Dr. Golson, I would like just the demographics of that 35% geographical preference area. We've had it in place for a number of years. I'd like to know who those students are, the racial breakdown, the socioeconomic breakdown, if they have any IEPs or 504s, if they're ELL. I want to make sure that we are that we are not in any way privileging the privilege in spite, I want to make sure that it's fair and that those demographics reflect the school district. And so I would just like that information before it comes back for second reader.
Thank you, Mr. Burrows. I think that's a reasonable request. Mr. Thomas.
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge, I agree also that it is a reasonable request. And I just want to mention that, some of the specific places that you mentioned are a bit, more affluent, if you will. But there are places that are listed in this geographic preference that are definitely lower income communities as well. So I just want to remind my colleague that not all of the feeder area is entirely affluent. And I just want to call attention to that. I still agree that that data is going to be important and useful information. So.
Thank you, colleague. Dr. Golson, in response to Mr. Burrows' request, would you provide any charter school that may have a geographic lottery preference component as a part of the information you submit?
Acknowledged.
Mr. Swan?
Yep, I'm off. In addition to what Mr. Burrows just asked in terms of data, in terms of performance, can we get all, for all of these, 8.1, I think it's 8.1 through 8.5 as, I'm sorry, 8.1 to 8.7, all that performance data for all the schools to the academic committee when it reviews? I'm on the academic committee, so it'll be helpful as we go through all of these with your staff to have that data when we have that discussion.
I think that's reasonable. Ms. Boozer, Ms. Shepherd.
I need to speak.
Would
It might be reasonable. It might be reasonable.
Huh?
It might be reasonable. This is Dr. Golson.
Yes.
But then we won't be able to meet the deadline of the board meeting in 2 weeks. So then we need to have a conversation about that.
Mr. Montero, if I don't see Ms. Shepherd, is she with us?
Yeah, Ms. Shepherd was going to chime in on that point.
Yeah, I also wanted to highlight that we do have a timing issue in terms of meeting the deadline for in the next 2 weeks. We don't have any time in the academic committee for us to meet. So we wanted to see if we can do this as a second reader in October. And now the data that is being requested, and that will give us the time for us to review that data.
Dr. Golson, if you would work with board leadership, Ms. Shepherd and Mr. Montero to lay out the schedule that we can achieve to meet the board's objectives. And colleagues, we'll make sure that you're briefed on that from the leadership of the committee and the board. Ms. Sept.
Thank you, Dr. Thornton. Just a point of information for folks, I think 2 pieces. One piece is that there should be packets available for what the board approved on the previous packets that we approved online on board docs. So if there's any question about some information, I think that that could be pulled, maybe not for every school, but at least for some of the recent schools, there's some documentation online. The other piece of this around the CPA geographic preference area, I remember this being a big conversation amongst the board when it came up. And I just wanted to address that. I think one of the additional concerns that occurred during that conversation was the intention behind creating that geographic preference area and whether it would have been exclusively for or designed for the staff members that went to the University of Maryland College Park and their children. So those were just the two kind of background pieces that I wanted to uplift from my experiences on the board when it came to these couple of items.
Okay, colleagues, working with Dr. Golson, Ms. Shepherd, and Mr. Montero, and Mr. Burrows, and myself, we'll certainly give you an update as to how quickly we can get this back before you. Colleagues, the vote is on 8-4 as a first reader with the provisions that we've been talking about. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed,
Aye.
no.
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 Ms. Queen and Ms. Ahmed are no, and Mr. Burrows, are you abstaining
Yes.
again?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Burrows abstaining with Ms. Ahmed and Ms. Queen voting no. Other board members, Ms. King voting yes. Thank you, colleagues. And I want to thank again Ms. Shepherd and Mr. Jarrett for taking this up. Colleagues, we now will indicate to the public that follow items from our board meeting of August 20th will be posted on the board's website for the public to deal with and to see. And I'm now willing to accept a motion to approve actions taken in executive session tonight. Who made that motion?
Valentine.
Mr. Valentine, who seconded?
Second.
Ms. Williams, so that Ms. King, Mr. Valentine, Ms. Williams, the motion to approve action taken in executive session. We received a report from our CEO in executive session regarding administration of the school system. We discussed personnel matters regarding appointment, employment, assignment of certain employees. We consulted with our counsel regarding legal matters and received legal advice. And we discussed investigative proceedings regarding a possible, though we did not discuss any criminal conduct proceedings, but we might have. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposing, no. The ayes have it. There's no objection, Ms. King, to approval of the actions taken in the executive session. Colleagues, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting of the Board of Education. Yes.
Before we adjourn, I still have a question when Dr. Golson did her opening statement. I didn't get a
Yes.
chance to.
Please.
I have a concern, Dr. Golson, about the lunches, because what I noticed is you gave the under 4,000 or 5,000 on Monday, and then on Wednesday it picked up. But another reason it picked up is because on Wednesday it was not a full day of class for students. And the issue that I noticed a lot of parents had, and as me as a grandparent, I had the same issue, is trying to leave in between a little half an hour lunch that they give you and go pick lunch up and get back. I was late with my granddaughter getting back. And then as I sent you to an email, she got called out by the teacher trying to eat while class was going, but it wasn't enough time. So on Monday, when I'm finding out is a lot of parents aren't going, it's because they don't have the time between class. So that's an issue that we need to address also, because if we're going to give a certain amount of time, we need to give parents time. And I've just thought about me having one grandchild, but what about people who have to drag 3 and 4 kids out to go pick lunch up and try to get back? And Prince George's County Public Schools are giving some of the food that has to be cooked. You don't even have time to cook it. You know, luckily she had French toast that she could warm up real quick. So if we want the kids to be able to get these lunches, then we need to also make it easier for them to be able to eat them and go pick them up. So I did want to address that because that is a big issue.
We will review all schedules when we're looking for the time compliance piece to make sure that there is the independent practice break before lunch, which will allow you to give you a longer lunch. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Queen, for bringing that to our attention. Ms. Boozer-Strelling.
Thank you so much. I have a follow-up question on the pre-K, the K through 3 hours extension. I understand the deadline to be compliant is December 31st. Will all elementary schools submit their plan and begin on a date that you instruct them to begin, or could this be one school changes in a week or two and others may wait all the way until the deadline?
No. So once again, a committee will review all schedules, and then for those that have to be changed, we will talk with them and make sure it gets changed. And we will be in compliance before December 31st, and it will all be done at the same time, which right now will probably be December 20th.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boozer-Strelling. Mr. Wallace.
Thank you, Dr. Thornton. And going back to the CEO's remarks, particularly around the plan that was submitted to the state board. Earlier this week, our governor of Maryland made a very disparaging comment about 8 of the jurisdictions in our state, and that the other 16 did a great job in their plans that were submitted to MSDE. And I know I can't speak for the full board, but I just wanted to let our administration know and our superintendent know, our CEO know, that despite what our state's executive has said about our school systems plan, I believe it is a great plan. It is a plan that led the entire region. And I'm very appreciative of the work that our administration has done from the top down. And it is unfortunate that comments are made like that in Annapolis without any engagement to our school board. And I hope that this Board of Education could send a letter of rebuke to our state's executive for his uncanny comments about the school system that has quite honestly led the state, and to compare us to jurisdictions that have less schools than the total of schools in District 7 is very unfortunate. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
I'll second that motion to send
Second.
a letter of disagreement. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, colleagues.
I was going to volunteer to deliver the letter if y'all wanted me to.
I go with you.
We'll all go with you.
I think Brian gonna wear his military uniform.
Hey,
Let me just let me say, colleagues, as we close out the meeting, just stay focused on what we are doing as a board, as a community, as a county, as a delegation, as a county council, as parents of Prince George's County, and we'll not be distracted, by anything. We are, as I said, an exemplar in terms of school reopening, how you respond to the pandemic. We are an exemplar community and school system, so let's not be distracted by anything. It may be a waste of energy. Okay, thank you, colleagues. We have already approved the, those in favor of adjourning the meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposing, no. The ayes have it. Thank you, colleagues, and I'll see you on the next meeting. Thank you. Bye.